Hello, everyone. I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. I'm so grateful that you are listening, subscribing, commenting. I appreciate the support. And in this one, I want to speak to you about this age of transition that we're going through and how there's two interesting, separate ways of dealing with this age of transition. Many different people have called it the Dark Ages, the Kali Yuga, whatever you want to call it. I think we are all realizing that there is a massive change happening in the world, not only in terms of environmental disasters and global warming and all of that, but also in spiritual consciousness, awakening, and in general, our connection to each other. And I think there, as I said, there's two different ways of dealing with this age of transition. The first way, obviously, is fear, and to believe that any kind of change is wrong or scary or debilitating, and to go into a cocoon of sorts where all you think about is protecting yourself, about saving yourself from the disaster, from the ecological disasters, environmental disasters, whatever disaster you might imagine the world is going through. The first standard mode is fear. You fear that the change is going to be negative, that it's going to affect you negatively, that it's going to shake things up in a way where it might result on you being in a situation where you're not taken care of perfectly, where you're not comfortable or cozy, where you perhaps might not have enough food or water, perhaps the air is unclean and there's war going on. And so a lot of people, what they've decided to do is to close themselves up to everything that's going on around them, to make sure that their own families are taken care of, to have perhaps a bunker that they are stocking up with food and water and other essentials, and to make sure that they have a gun to protect themselves or whatever it might be. There's many different ways to protect yourself in a scenario like this. And so they're going into their cocoon, they're going within themselves, and they're protecting themselves by hunching over their family and their heart and themselves. And they're wondering, their main thought in this whole process is, how do I save myself? How can I make sure that I pass through this age of transition without too much harm to me? And the main thing here is the ego. And I'm not saying that we haven't all gone through this mode and that all of us might not go through this mode. But there is a second, not better way, but there is a second way to kind of deal with this age of transition as well. Whatever this age of transition means to you, there's so many different ways you can look at it. But there is a different way to look at it. And that way is, how can I be more useful in this age of transition? How can I contribute in my own unique, beautiful way to the people around me, to the environment around me, to the society and community around me in this age of transition? Obviously, the transition is coming, whether we like it or not. The world is changing, whether we like it or not. There is no way to stop the change. There is no way to freeze time and space. Things are going to keep on moving faster and faster and faster as technology keeps on changing and people and environments keep on changing. Things are going to change so fast that you're going to be overwhelmed by it sometimes. But it is inevitable that the change is coming. The transition has already started, and all of us see it. All of us notice this age of transition that we're in. All of us, if we take a step back and look at the world right now, can sense that there is something happening, bubbling under the surface, and that change is going to be magnificent or not. But either way, either we take the first stance where we fear the change and we fear that everything's going to be ruined and the world is going towards disaster and the world is going to end and humanity as we know it is going to end and my children are going to suffer and all of that. And I know I've gone through that mode myself as well, many times. And then there's a second mode that I'm really trying to inculcate in myself, where I'm trying to imagine that transition is a part of life and of change and growth. In the past as well, civilizations have come up and gone down and been destroyed completely and then come up again. And changes have happened in the past as well, where we thought it was the end of the world, but it wasn't. It was just a transition to a better or a different time. And the Renaissance is a big example of that, or the Dark Ages in the past is a big example of that as well. And so things are always changing. And I think change is necessary for growth in general. And humanity is really going through a growth spurt right now. I imagine we were adolescents a few decades ago, a few centuries ago, and now we're kind of moving into adulthood. And it's growing pains, it's difficult, it's tumultuous. And we imagine that it's negative, but it doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It could be a positive change, or it could be just neutral. We're just going through a change. And the main tenet or the main idea behind it is, what are you going to do with this change? Are you going to hide away from it, protect yourself, save yourself, and really not contribute in a positive or any way to the world? Or are you going to open yourself up to the change, to this age of transition, and to really imagine yourself in this community, in this world, and figure out, what is it exactly that I'm here to do? Why did the universe decide that this was a perfect time to send me onto this planet? Why is my soul or spirit here? What is the purpose of me being here in this moment in time? There has to be a purpose. I believe so, at least. There has to be a reason why the universe decided this is the time where you're going to be alive and this is your consciousness right now. So go forth and do what you're supposed to be doing. And so what I've decided is that there are certain things that I'm good at. I am good at certain things, not good at other things. And so I'm trying to use my talents, my abilities, my things, the things that I'm good at, in order to contribute to the world and to the communities around me in a positive manner. And I think that is how I am really able to look at this age of transition and not go into fear mode, not go into hermit mode, not go into isolation or isolation mode, which a lot of people are going into. And I do understand that completely. Sometimes looking at the world right now can be a scary endeavor. You look around yourself and you think, I don't think the world is going to survive all of the stuff that's going on. And you fear for the world and for yourself. And our main instinct is to hide ourselves, to save ourselves, to hoard money, to hoard food, to hoard water, to hoard supplies, to hoard all of that. And I think that makes sense. A lot of people, I'm sure, are going through this. And I can imagine that it seems like the best way to deal with the situation. But I also think that while you're doing all this hoarding, I think it's also a good idea to think about how you can also contribute to the world in a way. And to think about why you're here. There has to be a reason why you particularly decided that your spirit or soul is going to drop down onto this planet at this tumultuous time of transition. There must be something within you that wants to give back, wants to contribute to this age of transition in a way. Perhaps you are a light worker or a healer in some way, and that's how you're supposed to give back. Perhaps you're just supposed to be a great parent and to lead your children into the age of transition consciously and in an awakened manner. Perhaps you're supposed to be a great sister or a brother, or a great friend, or a great community member, or a great parliament member, or whatever it might be. There's so many different ways, so many different roles to take upon in this world, and these are necessary. And I think one of the things that I want you all to start thinking about, and for me myself as well, is how can I contribute in this world right now, in this age of transition, in the best way possible, suited to me. I don't need to go to the Himalayas and clean up Mount Everest. I don't want to go to the ocean and clean up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. But I do want to take care of things in my own way. I do want to try as much as possible to go to zero waste. I want to try as much as possible to be vegetarian. I want to try as much as possible to contribute in my own way. And that's all that matters. You don't have to follow someone else's path. You just have to follow your own. Figure out what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be contributing in this age of transition, and then go forth and do it, my child, as the universe would say. Again, I hope this makes sense. I hope I was able to explain myself to you. If you have any questions about this, please do comment below, and I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.